Lately we be having conversations with the people, cause we feel like there's nobody really talking truth. We be having conversations with the people, cause too many media houses changing up the news. Everything was green light, now we seeing red. Everybody got opinions, few got facts instead. We be having conversations with the people, cause we feel like there's nobody really talking truth. Tuesday night and everybody tuned in live. Bankie and Yahsonn bringing reason in every time. Talking politics and the things affecting lives. Breaking down the stories they be trying to hide. Used to trust the system, now the trust gone. Everybody talking loud, but the facts wrong. People tired of the fake and the gimmicks too, so they coming to these topics for a clear review. Got the whole Caribbean locked on the station. Real entertainment network building conversation. No script vibes, now stage for the camera. Just real people talking straight with stamina. Yeah, we be having conversations with the people, cause we feel like there's nobody really talking truth. We be having conversations with the people, cause too many media houses changing up the news. Everything was green light, now we seeing red. Everybody got opinions, you got facts instead. We be having conversations with the people, cause we feel like there's nobody really talking truth. Sometimes Fridays got a special live session. Big topics got the whole place stressing. Agriculture, crime, economy discussion. Every episode spark another conversation, and the comments start flying when the lights start. Everybody got a view from the heart. Some agree and some disagree too, but at least these topics bringing real views. No pretending when the mic turn on. Yahsonn reasoning while Bankie stay strong. People checking in from overseas too, cause I finished conversation hard to come through. Everything was green light, now we seeing red. Everybody got opinions, few got facts instead. We be having conversations with the people, cause we feel like there's nobody really talking truth. Topiks, Bankie and Yahsonn. Real conversations. Lately we be having conversations with the people, cause we feel like there's nobody really talking truth. We be having conversations with the people, cause too many media houses changing up the news. Everything was green light, now we seeing red. Everybody got opinions, few got facts instead. We be having conversations with the people, cause we feel like there's no.
Yahsonn, we're live, let's go.
Global greetings. Welcome to another edition of the Topics here on Real Entertainment Network. As usual, it's another beautiful Friday evening here on Queen City, Nevis. Usually we have everything agriculture on a Friday evening, but sometimes we do shift course and get into the topics depending on, the guest and sometimes, what we have programmed. And so this is one of those evenings when we're going to have an exclusive edition of the Topics here on Real Entertainment Network. I am Yahsonn Tafari, and I want to say good evening to Oli. I want to say good evening, Layamiga. That's the indigenous name for the islands known as Nevis and St. Kitts. I want to say good evening to my brothers and sisters throughout the entire Eastern Caribbean. I want to say good evening, good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you may be geographically. Some one of these greetings may be applicable to you. This evening, as usual, my co-host Shabazz Bankie King, and I think maybe we can almost give Mr. Azard Gumbs the title of a co-host as well, because he's becoming a regular, guest here on the program. But we have as our special guest this evening, Mr. Azard Gumbs, who is the deputy leader of the still that retained that position after the caucus, deputy leader.
Yes, I'm one There are two deputy leaders of the People's Action Movement, and I am one of the two deputy leaders. We've had two positions for deputy leaders
Okay, wait.
open
We're
and
getting into that.
filled
I
this
just wanted
week.
to clarify. I just wanted to clarify that before we get into that. So I'm still in the introduction start. Point at this point. So I just wanted to clarify that point before So okay, so he's still deputy leader. We'll get into the clarifications of all of that in a bit. But he's still the deputy leader of the People's Action Movement Party, on St. Kitts. And we're going to be getting into some of those discussions, some of those things that he was trying to point out, because they would have had their caucus recently. And so we're going to find out, the members of the executives and if there were any changes and all that. We're going to find out about that. And we're going to be engaged in some other topics of discussion, of importance and significance, as, lots of things would have happened this week, last week. So we're going to be touching on some of those national issues, regional issues, and international issues as we get into this engagement this evening. Want to say a special good evening to our folks who usually log on, whether it's on the Facebook platform, whether it's on the YouTube platform, or it's on Twitch TV. We stream simultaneously on the three platforms, and we want to encourage you, if you're logged on right now, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, like, share, click on the notification bell. We're almost at our 1,000 marker, and we're really looking to take it further and beyond. And the more you like, and the more you subscribe, and the more you share, the more people see, because the algorithms would push it out to more people. So we're just encouraging you to do that. We're not asking for money, just 10 seconds of your time to subscribe, like, share, click on the notification bell. And if you're on YouTube, if you're on Facebook, you can do the same as well. Like and subscribe. We do encourage increasing of the numbers and the viewers and so on. And remember, we're going to give you an opportunity to call in later on the program. The number is 1-869-662-7196. We will give you that opportunity. And for those of you who usually comment on the platforms, we will take some time out also to acknowledge you and read as many of the comments as we possibly can during the program. We want to say a very special thanks to our sponsors, Nevis Islander Water Sports. If you're traveling between St. Kitts and Nevis, the best ferry service to get you back and forth between Oli and Reggae Beach. That's the Nevis Islander Water Sports water taxis. And if you are in that area and you're waiting for the boat, or if you've just arrived over and you want to grab a drink, or you want to get something to eat before you move on to your next destination, check out On the Rocks restaurant right there at the Olisi Water Taxi area. You just walk across as soon as you get off the boat. You just turn right. You continue going right across On the Rocks, and there's a beautiful restaurant with a beautiful view. If it's the evening, you get a beautiful view of St. Kitts, the lights and so on in St. Kitts. If it's early in the afternoon, earlier on in the afternoon, you can get a beautiful sunset view, and you can check them out and have some wonderful drinks. Tell them that you heard about them right here on Real Entertainment Network and on the Topics, and you just might get something special, maybe a special discount or maybe something additional to your service. Bankie, greetings. Welcome to another edition of the Topics.
Yes, and greetings to our guest and Azard, and also greetings to those who really network and choose to listen to the Topics. Greatly appreciate you guys tuning in. Also, let me guide them over in New Mexico. Definitely got to do that. Also, the folks over in North America, Canada, and open Europe, or wherever you're at the sound over is. Greatly appreciate you guys tuning in. Not forgetting the folks right here in Queen City and Sugar City. Can't take you guys for granted. Also, want to thank those who come by. Mansell's last Shabazz next and what show their viewpoint, critique, whether they're for the guests for the show against, and it's always good conversation, and that's what it's all about. Also, thank the customers for coming by on a daily basis in support of their watermelons. Right now, we have yellow watermelon, orange watermelon, and red watermelon, dry coconuts, plantain, green bananas, cucumbers, and you have your best mob in the house. And not forgetting tomorrow is Saturday, so you get your soul food from Chef Amonis, where you get your fish, caramel, fungi, and okra your oxtail, different meat, and your chicken, your rice, your salads and stuff like that. So come on out. Saturday is always a good place to chill out, be in the farm, or just sit and enjoy your food. So always have jelly water. So I can't thank the customers who come out on a daily basis, keeping my Uncle Mansell legacy alive. He have served in the agriculture sector for more than 50 years and still continuing. So I want to big up all the farmers, fisher folk, agro processors. So definitely looking for the reason this evening. Yahsonn. Also, I keep seeing this vehicle going around, Mark and Carib Eats. Now the years and see different people driving at time, but I'm not sure what it was about, and I just really learned about it just about this week, and it was very funny to me because I didn't know my virgin a whole lot secrets. So it's all about Carib Eats, Carib Ticket. You want to show on water taxi and stuff like that, you can book your ticket there. Also Carib Ride, and then you still have Carib Shop, just everything Carib. Big up my boy Diane and doing his thing, and that's what it's all about: good entrepreneurship, investing in the local, and then also Rama shows coming up the VIPs. He will be controlling that. So definitely, when you support these kind of VIP and these kind of young gentlemen and local entrepreneurs, the money remain right within the community and circulate, and young people and everyone in the community something to do. So it's all about networking. So Diane, big up yourself, definitely. Yes. Also big up the one who tell me also, you know who you are. All right, definitely. Azard, how you doing?
I'm wonderful. How are you doing?
I'm good. Definitely looking for the reasoning. Yahsonn,
Yeah,
mic is
man.
yours.
Yeah, so it's quite interesting as usual. But folks, tonight we are joined by attorney Azard Gumbs, People's Action Movement deputy political leader, and a familiar voice on the topics. He has been at the center of key party conversations, including the recent executive changes and the party's push to sharpen its national agenda. And so, since you're not new to this platform, Mr. Gums, give your listeners a quick update on where PAM is today, internally, politically, and strategically. And you can do that after you give your little introduction and opening remarks as well.
Okay. Again, let me say thank you for the opportunity to be here this evening. It's always a pleasure to be on this podcast with you, Tafari, and Bankie. Both of you with this show,
Yes.
a very popular show, a very engaging show. So I want to say thank you so much for the opportunity to discuss topics of national interest. I have always had interest in discussing topics that benefit St. Kitts and Nevis, benefit our region, and of course benefit us internationally as well. I am one of the two deputy political leaders of the People's Action Movement. As you indicated or highlighted before, we've had our caucus. Our caucus was held on Saturday, last Saturday, whereby we elected officers. It's an annual activity. I like to say that the People's Action Movement is probably one of the most democratic organizations because annually we have elections, save for every position, save and except the political leader. The political leader position is comes to an end every 3 years. So in 2024 was the last election for political leader. That term comes to an end in 2027. But during that time, every office is up at the end of the year. And so we had persons now incoming to the executive. We have Jacqueline Howell, who's no stranger to the executive. She has been a former deputy chair of the party. She also was a former assistant general secretary and former president of the party's national women's group. And so she comes in not as a stranger to the executive, having served in various capacities. We have Nubian Grier, who's a second deputy political leader. The former deputy political leader, along with myself, would have been Lincoln David Pell. And so now we have Nubian Grier, who joins me as a deputy political leader of the party. We have Mr. Akeem Walters, who is the deputy chairperson, newly elected, and will be serving in that capacity for at least a year. We have the treasurer, Mrs. Shirley Morgan. She's no stranger to the party. She has been around. She has been a general secretary of the party for numerous years. When we had Lindsey Grant as the lead of the party, she was general secretary. And when we had Dr. Sean Richards as leader of the party, she was also general secretary. She was most recently the deputy chairperson of the party, and so she comes back to the executive full of experience as well. We have two positions that were left unfilled and so vacant, and that is the role of the PRO and the Assistant General Secretary. And we have decided as a party how to go forward with that. And we are going to have a special caucus that will determine persons would have opportunity to contest those positions, and the executive will be completed. And so I want to thank those persons who continue to support the People's Action Movement. The People's Action Movement is a political party that is strong, that is vibrant, very opinionated, a party that has various views, but of course a party that is focused on ensuring that the people of St. Kitts and Nevis is always placed first. We have to ensure that the people of St. Kitts and Nevis always put first. We have a people first agenda for the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. We believe that people matter most. And so going through, as it relates to our party, it is always, what can we do for the betterment of the people of St. Kitts and Nevis? And of course, we have our party convention. Our party convention is slated for July 26th at 4 p.m. at party headquarters. And it's an annual convention. At convention, we're going to ratify the decisions of caucus. And we're also going to ensure that we rally the base, that we portray the message of the People's Action Movement, the People's First Agenda. And of course, that is going to be done under the leadership of our political leader, Natasha Shani Gray Brooks.
Okay, so you sort of preempted one of my questions, because I was going to ask you what changed in the recent executive elections, and you would have sought to explain some of that a moment ago. And what does this new team mean for the party's direction?
Well, as I said before, Tafari, is that the People's Action Movement is an organization, a political organization that continue to have changes. We have elections every year, and these officers, the office is up, and persons contest. I first contested my first caucus in 2019, so I have been a part of the executive for 7 years. I've had 7 caucuses. I've served in the role of Assistant General Secretary for 3 terms. I served as Deputy Chairman of the party for 1 term. I served as Chairman of the party for 1 term. And in this position, which is the Deputy Political Leader, I am now serving for a 3rd term. And so, as a part of the party and as a part of the executive, is a part of the organization. And of course, we believe that the voice of the people matter. And of course, there are persons and there are members of our party who exercise their voices. And there are persons who are willing to contest for these positions. And so there's no lack of resources or no lack of human capital when it comes to the People's Action Movement. We continue to be a robust organization that puts people first. And I want to say, I don't think that there has been any other political party that has been so vibrant in terms of executive members. Some persons in former parties, I've seen them hold positions for years. But in the People's Action Movement, of course, we believe that everybody has an opportunity to serve, everybody has an opportunity to bring their ideas to the table. And of course, we welcome that. And at the end of the day, the caucus determines, the delegates of the People's Action Movement determine the best team to go forward.
Okay, so I hear that, and it sounds pretty good, but how united is PAM after this recent internal shakeup involving constituency number 4?
Well, there was no shake-up as it relates to constituency number 4. Number 4 continues to be united. The party continues to be united, as you see, even after our caucus. Our party leader had her show this afternoon, well, this morning, sorry. We have convention on July 26th. There are going to be voices and there are going to be opinions. We are a party that believes in voices and opinions. But make no mistake, Tafari, we believe we are best suited to serve the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, and we have one goal in mind. We have one goal in mind: to rescue the people of St. Kitts and Nevis from this Labour administration that have put themselves first and the people of St. Kitts and Nevis last.
Okay,
That
so
is ultimately.
I think this is going to be my last question, so to speak, on that specific area. I'll just ask you, well, okay, you have been in the role as deputy political leader, you just mentioned now, for the 3rd term. What are some of your now immediate priorities? Now you're back at the helm as deputy political leader. What are some of your immediate priorities?
Well, first and foremost, we have a general election that is coming up. I think everyone is aware of that. And our party is putting in the necessary plans to ensure that we are best suited to contest that general election. We have since then, last caucus, we didn't have a candidate for constituency number 8. Now we have a candidate for constituency number 8. We have about 5 of the 8 confirmed candidates. We have since then we've had Nubian Greer in number 2, myself in number 4, Sean Richards in number 5, and Natasha Daniel in number 8, and Natasha Shani Greybrooks in number 1. Yeah, some of my plans to ensure that the People's Action Movement as an executive team is unified, and to ensure that we do what we have to do to push the party's message across, and to ensure that the agenda of the people is first and foremost. When we talk about this next election, we talk about a people-centered approach. We talk about putting the people of St. Kitts and Nevis first. Because Tafari, make no mistake, over the last 4 years, we have seen an administration that has only looked towards themselves. And so we have looked, we have criticized, we have advocated for the people of St. Kitts and Nevis because we believe that under a People's Action Movement government, that the people of St. Kitts and Nevis will see better days. You know the song, the soca song, better days are coming. And of course, better days are coming for the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. When the bell is rung, whenever that is, we are prepared, and I will be a part of the team prepared and ready to ensure that the people of St. Kitts and Nevis that we are delivered from the bondage of the peoples of the St. Kitts and Nevis Labour Party.
And you're still going to be running in constituency 4?
Of course. There has been no change to that.
Yes. Okay, all right. Just making sure.
Yes.
As I said, I'm going to move on from that topic now. And
well, before you move on, let me get in something here, because you say you're the deputy leader, and no, so you have 2 deputy leader now. So no,
we've always had
is a 2 deputy leader.
Yes. We've had 2 deputy leaders for, I can say, in excess of 11 years. For some time, Sean Richards and Eugene Hamilton both served as deputy political leaders when Lindsey Grant was leader, and then both of them contested leadership when Lindsey Grant stepped down. We had Jonell Powell and Eugene Hamilton, and then Jonell Powell and Lindsey Grant at different times, both being deputy political leaders. And so we've also seen Lindsey Grant and Eugene Hamilton both as deputy political leaders. So it's something that has been there in the People's Action Movement for some time.
So, so now Mr. Guyo is an executive as a deputy political leader. It seems like there is
Yes, he is.
different opinions going within the community as if is it something illegal within the caucus and PAM executive he's doing, because everyone know there is a situation where we have a pending case and coming up, so you get different views within the community, and so some using this opportunity now, especially with this situation as he's now a deputy leader. Is there something wrong with this as a lawyer, I mean,
Well, I'll say this to you, Bankie. The People's Action
yes.
Movement is an organization. I mean, you put yourself forward for service, you put yourself forward before the delegates, and the delegates decide. At the end of the day, it is a free and fair election process. We believe in free and fair elections, and we believe that persons have an equal opportunity to contest in any position that they wish it as a part of the party. At the end of the day, whether you're a newcomer or someone who has been there in time immemorial, you have an opportunity to present yourself to the delegates, and then the delegates of the party make a decision at the end of the day. I mean, they did make a decision, and so that is the decision of the delegates, and so he will serve as a deputy political leader until that term comes to an end. And of course, there would be persons who have varying opinions on the matter. We live in a democratic society where persons have varying opinions. I mean, you could wear something today and you could have 10 persons say that it's appropriate, and maybe 10 other persons say that you could better dress yourself. So, of course, in a society like St. Kitts and Nevis, and especially a political environment, one must be open to criticism, one must be open to the voice and different voices.
All right. Yahsonn?
Okay, I think that was quite a good question, and quite an interesting position as well. I never really thought about it that way either, but yeah, he did mention that Mr. Guyo would have been victorious over Mr. Pell, who would have been the other deputy leader who was functioning with Azard before. So yeah, as you said, it's not anything new to say that now they have two deputy political leaders, but it's just that there would have been a change of one of the deputies, so to speak. That's how I gather it.
Yes.
Now, the East Coast housing deal was originally announced in 2023 as a 2,400 home agreement, but later reports raised major questions about delays and possible termination after only 2 model homes were developed. What is PAM's latest understanding of the housing project with the Trinidad developer? Or you, because I think we interviewed you and you was the lawyer representing them as well. So your position on the matter right now. Can you?
Well, let me speak to the matter as the attorney and not as it relates to the People's Action Movement, because as an organization, this agreement would have been between the government of St. Kitts and Nevis and East Coast, and not between the People's Action Movement and East Coast. Yes, and so the matter is ongoing. It is in the court. The government on the last occasion would have put a stay in proceedings, indicating that the matter should be heard via arbitration. We place our objection to that, and it is supposed to be determined sometime in perhaps September or thereafter as to what would be the decision as it relates to that stay. So it's very much active within the court, and we have made our submissions. In fact, we made our submissions. We're still waiting on the other side to make their submissions as to support the application that was made. And so we are very much, East Coast is very much represented, and we'll just allow the court to do what it has to do in terms to determine the outcome of that situation.
Okay. Are you at liberty to answer this question? Was the project mismanaged, and if so, where exactly did it fail?
Well, in terms of mismanagement, that would be a determination for the parties and the court to determine. I mean, both of them have the overview outlook on the situation, both the government and the East Coast. The internal factors in whoever mismanagement, I don't think I'm at liberty to come and make a decision or to say yes or no at this point in time.
Okay. Since you're the lawyer, what legal accountability or remedies should the public expect?
Well, the contract, the cause of action, because when you bring an action, you must have a cause of action. Cause of action is one of misrepresentation, which would render the contract pushed aside, basically making it not a contract at all from the start. And so those are the remedies to ensure that the claimant is placed back in the position he would have been before the contract, formed. In layman terms, so to speak, is just to put him back in the position or put the company back in the position they would have been previously.
Okay, and
Essentially,
finally on that topic, so to speak, if Pam were in office, how would you structure large housing agreements differently to avoid this kind of uncertainty?
But I think what we have to do and what the People's Action Movement has been talking about is about empowering our young people and empowering our local in terms of these industries. The People's Action Movement has criticized the Barbados model, the Basque High School. When it comes to the Basque High School, you realize that work has been shipped in Barbados and it's supposed to be shipped back here. When you look at a lot of the things that this administration is doing, you wonder if they are focused on ensuring that the people of St. Kitts and Nevis benefit economically. You understand? If construction workers in St. Kitts and Nevis are given opportunities to construct a bill, then it's a spill-off effect because the money is spent in St. Kitts and Nevis, the money then trickles down and goes to different persons. You understand? And so you have an economy in which construction is foremost and people are benefiting. One of the things you see in this Labour administration is a lack of capital projects. You don't really see any major projects that you see them have is either shipped out or not existing at all. And so one has to look at whether or not the St. Nevis Labour Party really has the people of St. Nevis' best interest at heart, or whether they're just there to ensure that they form government over and over again with no clear plans to develop St. Kitts and Nevis.
So, all right, sounds like you guys have some plans already in terms of how you guys are gonna, if possibly, get in that position to effect.
Yes, and we also recognize, Tafari, we recognize that housing is a very important thing. Not only, well, of course, regionally, internationally, people want houses, but more so, St. Kitts and Nevis realize that a lot of young persons, and you speak to them every day, I speak to them every day, and a lot of them are in need of housing. You see persons in the court when they are kicked out of premises, and oftentimes they stay longer than they should because when you ask, they ask the court the question, where would they go? You understand? And that they've been trying to look for housing and the market is saturated and prices are high. We have to ensure that housing is affordable. That is something that we have to look at. You look at young entrepreneurs, you look at persons leaving schools and universities, and oftentimes persons come back from universities, they have huge student loans, and it's very difficult to construct a home, even in some of what you would call some comfortable positions. And so we have to make sure that housing is affordable for everyone. Of course, we have the NHC, and there's the NHC that was there to ensure that the vulnerable persons within our society and persons who can't afford to go to the bank and therefore are given some sort of relief and assistance to government assistance. But we've seen whereby persons are given homes, well, not given homes, given an opportunity to own homes. And upon that opportunity, a lot of persons aren't paying. And so it's a spill-off effect whereby you look at NHC and you wonder if it has the resources to continue. So we must ensure that housing, as a government, we must ensure that housing is affordable and readily available to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. A lot of young people, I mean, back in the day, you had persons who would have lived in extended families and, of course, added on to their mother or their father's houses. But now, in this day and age, a lot of young people want a place of their own, a place that they call their home and something that they can build and construct. And so we have to look at what is the reality now and how we could best suit the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. I believe the government is primarily elected to ensure that the people, the lives of people are better. If you have a government that is elected and the lives of people are dramatically worse, then one must ask the question, who are these set of ministers benefiting? Are they benefiting? Do the people of St. Kitts and Nevis benefit from them, or do their benefits um, are only distributed to those close and closely among them?
Okay,
You know,
let,
Mr.
let me.
Gumbs, wait, the Bankie. I wanted to just drop in something here because I was going to move on to something else. But as I listen to Mr. Gumbs, right, there is something that pops out at me. And it begs me to ask this question at this point. Because as I listen to some of the things that you are saying, I do recognize that, especially in the political field, a lot of times, especially on the opposition side, sometimes when they're outside, you hear all of these fancy ideas and things and possible solutions that you may have. One of the difficulty that we are finding, and I am seeing it playing out a lot more, especially with some of the issues that we have, is the fact that majority of the times you guys are elected, yes, by the masses, and in some cases are given a mandate, so to speak. And this is the argument that is being presented by a lot of politicians in these times, that you all were given a mandate. And sometimes it is seemed as if because you're given the mandate, you feel like, so to speak, like you're the boss and you could just dictate what you're going to do for the people without consulting with the people. And we are finding that that's one of the major problems that I think we're having as a society. What plans do you and your party have in terms of addressing that issue, in terms of being more transparent? So, like, for example, instead of just you sitting down in cabinet with your other members and decide, well, we're going to bring this company from Trinidad to build 2,400 homes, and you know, what I mean, we didn't have any say in that decision in terms of the Bastia project and so on. So things like that, where I think some sort of consultation with the people should be necessary. What changes or plans do you all have to address that issue for us to make us feel more part of the decision making?
Well, as you said, Tafari, is that there needs to be more transparency as relates to government and how government works. There also needs to be more collaboration and more consultation. Look at the People's Action Movement in the past when it was independence. Sir Kennedy would have consulted with a number of persons. We are here, we are members of the PAM, the People's Action Movement, and we have seen firsthand and we have experienced this new Labour administration over the last 4 years. And I bring them up to say this, Tafari. We have seen where they have gone wrong. We have seen where persons are complaining. And many of us are new candidates to the slate. And so we don't carry the baggages of those who went before us. We are like myself, let me talk about myself. I would have been someone who worked for government. I would have been someone who supported a party as an average supporter. I would have been someone who supported a candidate and would have assisted in the general election. And now I am a candidate in this general election, and I am also the deputy political leader of the party. I say all of that to say this. I have been through almost every cycle. I have seen it from supporter to candidate. And I continue to listen to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. And I believe that our party and the people that represent the People's Action Movement are too listening. We understand the concerns when there's a top-down approach. And that is something that we would change. We would engage persons more. Look at this. You have said, Tafari, that I am here like a co-host. You understand? And so I'm not afraid of engaging with media. I'm not afraid of answering questions because at the end of the day, if you're going to put yourself up for public office, then it's for the public to ask questions, scrutinize, give their critique. And it's you as a politician that must take whatever is said and to either improve on it or to reject it. And I say reject it in the sense that there might be some things that you feel is said and maybe not applicable, but where you find that there are things that have merit, things that people that resonate with people, then you must improve it. And so we are about improving transparency and accountability. I am one who continue to criticize this administration that I feel has not been as transparent as they ought to be. I have criticized them and I've tried to hold them accountable because I believe that someone has to hold this administration accountable. There are so many things that go unnoticed, or some things that they would like to go unnoticed, that sometimes it is the average man and woman in St. Kitts and Nevis that picks up on it, even sometimes quicker than political parties. And of course, we have seen where this administration has done numerous things. And it is only after the fact and after persons have spoken that you have seen this administration give what appears to be somewhat of an answer.
Currently, right now, we have the now Attorney General Gart Wilkin. There's a situation where he was a case of the government versus Mr. Reggie Francis, where before the Attorney General, when Team Unity was in, and the now Labour Party was out of power, he was Mr. Francis' lawyer. So now he is the Attorney General. Now he is at the government side as the lawyer. My question to you: let's say hypothetically, the PAM government, now you're in government, you are the deputy prime minister and stuff like that. And how will this be now in the situation as you're the lawyer for East Coast Housing? How will that situation be rectified when it comes to them and the government now, and now you are the government now, and as the deputy prime minister, how will this situation myself in Reggie Francis and now with, as you said, playing out all kind of personal attacks on each other and stuff like that within the public we have of tapes and tape leak that? How would that look on your end and the PAM party?
Well, if there's a situation like that, I would recruit myself. I can't be advocating for one thing and then when the situation changes, oppose it without reason. A situation like that will be simple. I will recuse myself from any deliberations as it relates to East Coast on the matter. I mean, also too, we've seen where attorneys, when they become public officials, then their office handle matters. They don't practice like they would do outside of public office. They either pass the work to someone else or they have someone else in their chambers or office carry on while they're on sabbatical. But definitely, if there's a conflict, then I won't have persons highlighted before I remove myself. I believe that there must not only be seen transparency, but there must be transparency felt. And of course, anything that looks like a conflict of interest, I will remove myself from any deliberations.
The next question I have, well, for the past couple of weeks, I listen a lot to all of the talk shows, and especially if it's something educational, especially when it comes to Peter Ajan, as as an economist and work at the Central Bank. He's on the MF report, which is very extensive, and as I say, he is one of the biggest and most pages and more detailed when it comes to what's going on within the CBI and the economy of St. it's a Navy, and they already shown decline when it comes to the sales of passport and stuff like that because of what's going on internationally, both in the US, where the US have sending now non-nationals, Caribbean within the CARICOM countries. Here, we're saving because of threats of going on between Cuba and stuff like that. And now you have the EU put in less than 2 years, which is June 1st, 2028, back to again. What would PAM, if they are in power, how will them do this situation when it come to, because right now, for what I'm hearing from of Nevis and Gaston Brown and the others, is like the impression I'm with from, especially from Gaston Brown and them in St. Lucia, is that they're not going to give up the CBI. That is for sure. So, which means the citizens going to make up their mind. They're going to lose their visa free access going to the Schengen area and stuff like that. And also, where Antigua is at when it comes to the US, they're getting one-time visa and $15,000, which means that not going to happen. People not going to go America. They're going to lose that visa. But what is surprising thing this is that NBC is in Barbados, and the Barbados Prime Minister is not bending over when it comes to compromising, accepting citizens when it comes to non-Asian citizens into their country. So and they are not being victimized and challenged or anything like that. That is what is surprising to me. So what does PAM have to do? What is PAM plan this time if they win the next election when it comes to the EU and all these different stuff coming out when it comes to the CBI and closing it down?
Well, we know what has been happening globally, and I think it comes as a surprise as to the pressures that the EU and other countries, unions have placed on Caribbean as relates to the citizenship by investment. The citizenship by investment was the brainchild of St. Kitts and Nevis through a People's Action Movement government back in the 1980s. We have seen where the CBI has added to the GDP of our country significantly. And we have also seen the criticisms by those outside as it relates to the program. We have seen the shortcomings of the program as well. And of course, we have seen now presently where there have been changes to the program. We've seen where there have been a drop in the revenue collected from the CBI when it comes to St. Kitts and Nevis. And of course, what we have to do is to ensure that we improve the product. The CBI, as it is now and as it was then, is changing. The in terms of the revenues collected have significantly dropped. St. Kitts and Nevis must now look at diversifying the economy. The CBI is there and perhaps will be there, but to a far lesser extent as it relates to our revenue. We have to look at different areas of growth within our economy. We have to look at renewable energy. We have to look at agriculture. We have to look at tourism. We have to look at digital, the digital economy. We have so many things that we have to do in terms of looking at and diversifying, because the CBI, I don't want to say gloom and doom, but the reality is that things are changing. Countries are becoming more and more protective of their borders. Countries are looking at it as a security risk. Countries are looking at it that if that citizens that would not normally enter their countries could through this program, through St. Kitts and Nevis. And so, I mean, countries and the EU, they're basically doing what any territory would do in terms of protect their borders. We have to now look at diversifying our economy. We look at the CBI for what it is. We make the changes. We improve the program in terms of the due diligence and make sure that it is robust and make sure that it is as much as foolproof as possible. But we have to look at different areas of our economy and how we could better grow those things. Agriculture is one of them. Tourism is one of them. We look at renewable energy. We look at the wars that have been going on, and we it is no surprise that as a result of that, we have seen the escalation of gas prices, and with that comes the cost of fuel at a higher price. And so we must look at renewable energy and how we could ensure that the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, our economy is 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 diversified.
Yahsonn?
Um, he touched on something that I was going to get into in terms of agriculture, as I had a couple of questions specific to each one of those areas, one for water and power and agriculture. So, since you touched on agriculture, how would you increase production, reduce food import, and support farmers in a measurable way? Because sometimes we get, these fancy talks and so on, but we're looking at solutions. How can we address that in a measurable way? How would you and or your party increase production, reduce food imports, and support farmers in a measurable way?
Okay, so repeat that question, Tafari. I was just making sure that my device is charged. So I was,
Oh, no problem. No
yes, go
problem.
ahead.
So I'm saying on agriculture, how would
Mhm.
you or your party increase production, reduce food imports, and support farmers in a measurable way?
Okay, so let's look at the support for farmers. A lot of farmers have been complaining as it relates to their market. We look at one of the farmers, Yellow. Yellow would have planted many pineapple, and of course, those pineapples came bountiful, you understand. And what he asked for, he asked the Minister of Agriculture to supply him with a market. And persons would have criticized what he said, and there would have been some persons who understood what he said. In my view, he wasn't asking the Minister of Agriculture to sell the pineapples for him. In my view, he was saying simply, could you provide us as a government, could you provide the farmers with market, perhaps even outside of St. Kitts and Nevis, whereby they could trade and sell their produce? We've seen such is done in the countries such as Grenada, where there is a marketing unit that assists in the export of crops. And so I think likewise can be done in St. Kitts and Nevis, whereby we assist farmers. Additionally, you talk about um, bringing down the import bill. We have to look at what crops are grown well in here in St. Kitts and Nevis, and we have to use statistics to ensure and data to ensure that the crops that are grown here and can grow here well can be distributed and produced and be distributed to consumers here. There are many things that are grown here in St. Kitts and Nevis and would have to compete with those crops coming in. I think what we can do is perhaps through laws ensure that there is a local, by local first agenda, whereby you supermarkets and whereby consumers would be encouraged to buy local first once the local is there. And of course, we'd have to ensure that the local crops are up to standard. We want to make sure that they're up to standard. So, of course, to assist farmers. And I think by doing that, we could decrease the number of crops we actually import here. Your first question was in relation to, I think I answered third and second. I can't hear you.
Yahsonn, you make pause. You make pause.
He was asking, how do you increase production?
Or increase production. Well, we have to look at the lands that we have available. We have to, and one thing about it, and of course, this is me talking from an outsider perspective and would have been engaging with farmers. We have to get farming looking sexy. When I say that, right, is because we have to get more young people involved in farming. We have to make and market farming as something that is attractive. I often say that. When we look at farming, persons typically look at farming in a one track mind, just to put the seeds in the ground, and that from that seed it goes up into crops. And so we have to look at it holistically because it is a whole industry. Accountants will be needed. Persons with business plans would be needed. Marketing officers would be needed to market the produce. And so it's not just the farming aspect, but a holistic aspect. So how we increase production? By getting more people involved and by educating and creating institutions that would increase our product. Um, when you hear farmers talk, and sometimes I had a conversation with a farmer just last week, and I said to him, what is it that you think could be done to improve the farming sector? And he said to me that, farmers do get um, tools, but oftentimes it is how they use these tools. It is how they market themselves. It is how they utilize what they have to properly sustain themselves. And so education would be necessary. We need to educate persons from, even if we have to introduce it more robust in schools. I remember when I was in primary school, the academy primary school, and agriculture was a topic in grade 4. And so you introduce that topic into young persons, to the young persons, you introduce it to schools. And so persons think about different avenues that they can be a part of.
If
Okay.
we're going, if let me add to this, I can add to this section here. If we're going to be increasing production in agriculture, there are three things you must have to look at, because you're going to be using more water. So I mean, we have to take it serious, like tourism, CBI, and those stuff. We got to take, unless we're going to go down this road where we're going to have a situation where we have a program for monkey and wild pigs and all these different animals that affect farming. If we're not perform all this, not going to happen.
Well,
we're not going to see
these
it.
are
And
conversations
then,
that
yes, if you're
as I
not
said
gonna, you have to
before.
build storage facilities, or dry storage and chill. You see Rams and these large supermarkets, what you see them have? Mass storage, chill storage, and dry storage. Those people plan their business. If they know how simple it is, just because you're gonna have large stock in place, thousands of pounds of stuff. Cause every week they bring in hundreds of pounds of cabbage, this, that, every day. Onion, they have it for dry, and then the shift went over into the chiller carne. So they must have to have some. So you have to understand temperatures. Not just we have to. It's science, you see, and you can listen to the technocrats. And once you're gonna have large chills, you have to have someone who understands storage of different crops, and tomato and cabbage and cold crops together and stuff like that, along with cucumber. You gotta store what can be stored with each other at a certain temperature and all this different stuff. So until these things are not to me and anyone when you're gonna go run up into this election coming up, because this election coming up, gonna be one of the most emotional election, because many who are going because of personal hurt. They've been supporting a party and they get their feelings hurt, and now they feel like, well, you know what, I could do a better job. And by any means, I want them out. And emotion is bad when it comes to governing the country. And that is what I'm saying here. Too much of emotions. And I'm, for one, like to listen and study people. What here going on right now, this is going to be a very, 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 one of the most emotional and dirty campaign coming up. Trust me, because there's a lot of emotion in it. So agriculture is something, if no one can speak culture on the country, I'm not going to take them serious. It's not just about talking and looking for likes and likes not voting. Likes is not voting, and everybody who watching this podcast, that ain't me what they have to say, but they know they're listening because they have an interest in what they have to say, and they can get information from it and probably take it forward and stuff like that. So likes does not mean they're voting for Bankie. Likes mean they listen to what I gotta say. They can take information. So those who are putting themselves in to run for an election, they gotta be able to speak on agriculture, food security, and water policy at the same time to get food within the country itself. It means farmers, and not just, you have to look at the age of your farmers. I'm 49 years old. In the next 11 years, never 60. You understand? All right. Who is the next generation coming behind? I have a young cousin, the big up Shakwan, who have that interest and focus in his early 30s. The baton been passed on to him. If somebody else look at him, and that is my family, if we're not looking at this time, and in that, agriculture is sexy all the time, you know. But what we have to look at is that agriculture is not the agriculture we are picked high on that tree and a goat. That is not agriculture. You see what I mean? We carry, and for me personally, if I was have anything to do with agriculture, the animal, the part when it comes to large ruminants, cows, because cows is an eating machine. They destroy your land, terrible. They never stop. They just a chew hour. They must let them chew the cud, and a lot of methane gas is let out in the feces. One cow is per 1 acre, you know. You see, it's not like, say, if you got 20 cows, how much land you want, and it's not like they have they're developing this land where they're planting forages and have food trees and different stuff. So you have a holistic approach. We are in agriculture serious with all the knowledge we have here and in St. Kitts and Nevis, all the training, with as most of these workshops I've been to, and as some of what I must say, trainers, and he was a guru of writing the hydroponics and horticulture book. We talk a lot, and the evidence shows by our import bill keep going up and going up and going up. We just talk, and that is very, very sad.
And
yes.
I do understand it. I do understand what you're saying. And it is persons like you that we need at the table, persons who have been in the agriculture sector, and not just talking to a minister who does nothing, but ensuring that something is done. I think I know I don't have a monopoly on ideas. I am one who is open to conversation, open to listening, and open to solving problems. I mean, agriculture is a huge industry. Agriculture is one of those portfolios, I think, that has not been given the attention that it requires. And so that is something that the People's Action Movement has said around in this time. We have someone who's on the team as well, Troy Flanders. You know Troy Flanders. Troy Flanders is a farmer, and Troy Flanders is a part of the team, and he has a passion for agriculture. He speaks to us about agriculture. He speaks to us about the plights of the farmers. He's a man who's integrated into the farming industry, in the farming community. And of course, a man who is a part of our team. When successful, Troy Flanders would be around as well. And so we have members of the farming community, first and foremost around us, the members of the People's Action Movement. And again, I say that this election is going to be a crucial one. Before, in terms of past, people perhaps voted on personality alone, because let's be honest, the economy of St. Kitts and Nevis has fairly been doing well in past elections. In this time around, I think that the election is going to be based on bread and butter issues, based on the economy, based on the high cost of living that persons are experiencing right now, with no sense of relief from this administration. I think that at the end of the day, the economy is going to be one of the factors that come into play, and when it comes to the next general election.
Well, I find this evening that you have been preempting some of my questions as we go along. My final question on this topic was really and truly, and Bankie kind of demonstrated that this is a topic that is passionate to us and for us. And so I would not let you slip away so easily on this topic, because sometimes this is what we do get a lot from elected officials, a lot of nice talk and fancy talk and great lip service where agriculture is concerned. So what specific projects would PAM launch in year one, and who would be responsible for the delivery? Why I say you preempt? Because I think in that second part, I think you might have identified Kyle Flanders, who might be the person who is responsible, but in terms of what specific projects would PAM launch in year one? You get in power, year one, what PAM will do in terms of trying to address some of these same things that you mentioned and the challenges that Bankie would have alluded to and all that.
Well, let me say this, that the conversation is still among us. We're still conversing with farmers. We're still talking with farmers. We have Troy Flanders, Kyle Flanders, who's a part of the farming consortium, to the point that they have brought suggestions and ideas to the forefront. Of course, we can talk about some of the plans as it rolls around. I don't want to preempt whatever manifesto and whatever plans will be coming shortly in terms of agriculture. Again, we would have had key persons and key players who would speak to this. We have a candidate by the person of Natasha Daniel, who has been an assistant secretary within the Ministry of Agriculture. So we have at least three persons, and we've been discussing, we've been talking. So to pinpoint any 10 projects or projects now, won't be able to give those because we're still in the discussion phase. We're still talking to farmers. But trust me, with three persons, I could call out that you have seen speaking on behalf of the party sometimes. When you look at Troy Flanders, when you look at Natasha Daniel, these are persons who have been in agriculture, and these are persons who are going to lead the charge once elected and once successful. The party is successful. These are persons who have hands-on knowledge and could speak to agriculture. Of course, I will continue to give my support to farmers where possible and fisher folks where possible, because I believe that the agriculture sector is an important sector, and I believe that we should be self-sustained when it comes to our food.
Okay, fair enough. On that topic, as we continue, what is your power strategy in terms of generation, distribution, cost reduction, or resilience against outages? The power solutions. You get in power tomorrow, next week, next election. What would be like your power in terms of electricity? What would be, your strategy in terms of power generation, in terms of distribution, cost reduction, or resilience against outages?
Well, first and foremost, what we have to look at, and I mean, this will be a long-term goal, we have to look at what is there now. We recognize that much of what is happening now when it comes to our generators, they're being rented. We've seen whereby we are now, they've been rented for some time. I could tell you that. We know that. I think what we have to look at is renewable energy and how we could merge both into our country. I think renewable energy, when it comes to solar, and there are talks, and there have been talks about geothermal, but we have to look at how we could actively make an impact in these areas when it comes to renewable energy. I think that is one of the ways to go. In terms of plans that you asked me about plans and cutting down, I think by incorporating solar energy and other types of renewable energy and not just relying on fossil fuels, I think that would be one of the ways to go. And that is one of the ways that we have to look at as a country, whereby we could incorporate renewable energy as well to cut our dependence on fossil fuel and energy.
You might pause, Yahsonn. You might pause.
Sorry about that. You mentioned geothermal. What is your position? Because that is something that is very much topical right now. Seemingly there seems to be some investments that are being made in relation to that. What is your position? You think that it is something that is, from your vantage point and from probably the knowledge that you have right now, you think it's something that is going to be in the next 4 or 5 years, or you thinking that's something that's way down the line?
Well, I have heard the talks about geothermal for some time now. I'm sure you have heard the talk about geothermal for some time now. I would like to see some real closure or some real movement as relates to getting that up and running. Of course, I understand it has to be done correctly. You understand you're looking at energy that is, coming from different sources, and of course, it has its advantages and disadvantages. So when it comes to that type of technology, I believe that the best minds and the most we have to be cautious because of how the energy is released from our natural environment, which could cause adverse effects. But in a nutshell, once it's done properly, I think it's something that we should push forward. I think it's something that has been there in time immemorial. Since I'm a child, I've been hearing about geothermal energy, and I think that we need to do what is necessary with all the cautions necessary as well to ensure that we get that off and running. I mean, Nevis is there. It has the resources, and I think it has more than enough resource to share within Nevis, St. Kitts, and also export where possible.
I want to piggyback on the geothermal situation. Right? Come.
Welcome to the conversation.
Yeah, that's my little heartbeat, She the last one. Do nothing to her, so she's something else, keep me busy. The geothermal situation, I for one, at this point, if someone can't come up with any numbers, because a lot of talk, a lot of money being wasted over the last 20 years, continue put from the Saudis, from Antigua, and St. Kitts and Nevis is such an expense to develop it, and yet no one can put no figure when it comes to even just harnessing the in the material before they build and build the machine to harness the energy and stuff. No amount of money up to now at detail can put up an estimate, and that is something that bother me when taxpayers' money have been spent and money have been borrowed from all over the world. And as you see, we have a thing on the building by what they call it, which by the first music festival keep over the Sunday where they got some museum, some love museum, love museum. All these are because we buy money from the Saudis and the Middle East and all this nonsense. So now historical sites are turning into a Muslim place, a Muslim state. We are doing a poor job. Because St. Kitts and Nevis with geothermal development, the cost of developing it, don't worth it. Whether you want to make money in geothermal for the size of St. Kitts and Nevis is the export. And exporting mean you gotta run underline cable, that next cost again. Still, they're not even gonna give you a cost for that to run electricity from here to Puerto Rico. When people speak, they have to remember, there are people who understand what they're saying, and when they're speaking and analyze this kind of crap they're talking about, And me for one, not entertain it because one want to get into power and because the feeling's been hurt. Real entertainment is about one thing, speaking the truth. We're not butt up nothing for nobody. About personal feelings and getting an emotion. Me avoiding everybody. So those who can't control emotion, not bother me, because I could control mine. Because when it comes to the people and leading the people, because everybody who coming out have an agenda. You see what I mean? Have a hidden agenda, and it shows. You see what I mean? Real entertainment have no agenda. We are here to interview and to ask questions and to let the general public see and make decisions that make sense. Because what we realize, they tried the trick with Titi, and right now, what's going to happen right now, everybody going to do what they have to get out Labour and to get out CCM. And then they're going to fall out. They must fall out. That's the reality. Because his emotion is in place. And when nothing is coincidental, I understand myself and understand the universe I live in. And human beings show you who they are, and the world can see each of us when we're here. So this ain't a pretending. So I'm not going to entertain knocking a crap from anyone when it comes to leading our people. In this point in time, we got to show numbers when it comes to this geothermal thing, any project, and do things right. Because at the end of the day, is us, the poor people, getting in that boat, When a few of them poor people who benefiting now and around inside laughing after the rest. And it's about time. You see, many people just come here 6 years old, and that me a different. And other household look at 6-year-old and 4-year-old, and them who not born yet. Me not entertain no crap from no one. Not gonna work. It's too much hidden agendas going around from what I'm observing, and it's too much a personal hurt, And this person is not going to come to run in a country. Running a country, I mean, militant, you got to be open and listen to the people. And what I'm saying is too much of self. So geothermal
Yeah.
for one, we have sunshine, you know. We have a lot of sunshine. We have a lot of water, a lot of wind. We have the Atlantic wind, we have the trade wind. But we're not serious. When people are serious, you know what they're serious about? CBI selling passport. This is about tourism. You see how much money going to pump 1 week, how much going to pump in the Mango Festival, how much going to pump into all these different stuff. That's what we're serious about. Because if we're serious about agriculture, you must have to find water. You see how hot the place be? Can't plant without water, and agriculture use some of the most water.
Well,
And we
Banky,
export and all our, yes. Go ahead.
as you have said, geothermal. I see that there was an article by the NIA sometime in May indicating that drilling contracts come closer and closer. But of course, like anything, geothermal comes with its own cons as well. It's very expensive to develop, as you indicated, and you talk about the drilling. And yes, drilling would need to be done. Need to be done, correctly. The benefits for
But anyways,
geothermal.
the geothermal is now a national project. It's under the federal government, and so it's going to fall under your
Yes.
government. You can't escape it because it's under Congress Maynard. You see what I mean? So if PAM now
And we,
is you
yes,
are going to have to
and
entertain this.
yes, and of course the party will not run from it, but the party will handle it as best as it can. Looking at the
Yes.
long-term benefits, of course, as you rightfully said, that venture is the cost input is very expensive. It will take years for that benefit to be materialized, and you feel it, but it's for generations to come. Again, so I hear you as it relates to looking at the solar panels and looking at solar energy and other forms. And I think perhaps if the resources allow for it, financial resources allow for it, then we could look at all different types of renewable energy and which one is most likely to benefit us to reduce this fossil fuel dependency that we have now, because we realize that we understand how the world is, and based on global trends and based on what has happened in recent times, we've seen how we have really little control over what happens externally, and they impact us. And so we have to make sure that we can, at many times, we have to make sure that we can govern ourselves, we can keep ourselves up and running, so to speak, and that we put persons in power and persons in positions that would think outside the box. Right now, we need
Okay.
persons who will think outside the box.
Okay. We're gonna go into a break.
At this point, we're gonna take a break. Is that point in the program where we're gonna take a break? I had one more question in this section, but I'm gonna save that for the next segment when we get into some other topics. We're gonna take a break and hear from our sponsors, and then when we come back, we are gonna get in some of the comments as well, and we are gonna, after maybe the first 5-10 minutes, we're gonna open the phone line so that folks can call in if they want to be a part of the program. So, technician, take us out with the commercial breaks, and then we'll be back.
At Shabazz Organics, we believe real people deserve real food. So we're bringing you to Mansa's Last Stop, a farm where food barriers are removed and legacy is sustained. We believe there's power in picking, so we allow you to decide what leaves the farm and enters your kitchen organically.
Beat the summer heat. Come and get your carambola, star fruit, make very nice drink. Come pick them yourself. All the trees them full of vitamin C, antioxidant, build up your immune system. Mine's the last stop. A whole shopping bag for only $10. Half a shopping bag you pay $5. If you get $2, you must get some. Come get your carambola. Don't want to go to wait. Let's go, people.
When comfort, class, and reliability matter, choose the ride that delivers more. Imperial Rides Transportation Services, where every journey is treated like royalty, from airport transfers, private events, shopping trips, island tours, and executive travel, Imperial Rides moves you in style. Clean, comfortable, on time, every time. Book your premium taxi or tour service today. Call or WhatsApp 869-665-8459 or email elandflavas@gmail.com. Imperial Rides Transportation Services. Your journey, our priority.
Yo, okay. So basically, we want to say thanks to the support. We want to encourage you to give some support to Dennis Brown Jr. And his family. We've got the GoFundMe right here on the page, so just check it out and give us some support. Whatever you can give, it can be you, it can be me, it can be any other family member of yours that is in that situation. And so let's try to help out the brother. Anything that you can to give Dennis Brown Jr. Some help, we do appreciate it. Yeah, people want to welcome you over to Heritage Cafe. Basically, we open every day now from 11 until 4 for lunch. Tomorrow, well, hey, every Wednesday, we've got Simple Stupid Wednesday. You got to check that out. That's what you've seen there on the page. But in the meantime, every day we open from 11 until 4 o'clock for lunch. So come on out and check us out. We can definitely update you. Check out our Facebook pages or Instagram pages, and you're going to be updated on what's on the menu on a regular basis. So come on out tomorrow. Check us out at 11 o'clock here at Heritage Cafe. And we are back. Yes, we are back on the topics here on Real Entertainment Network. I want to say thanks to all of you who are logged in, all of you who are spreading the word. We want to encourage you while you're here on the platform to like, subscribe, click on the notification bell. If you're on the YouTube or even if you're on Facebook, go on over to the YouTube platform. We're trying to build the platform over there. We're trying to build the algorithms over there so we could have more people logged in on the YouTube platform. So go on over, subscribe, click on the notification bell. In the meantime, we're going to be going through some of the comments before we get back to our guest, Mr. Azard Gumbs, who is the deputy political leader for the People's Action Movement Party over there on St. Kitts. But in the interim, we're going to start with the Facebook side of things. And Kevin Hanley says, good night, Azard. Kevin Hanley says, good night, Bankie and Yahsonn. Greetings, Kevin. Enough respect. Hope you're having,
Kevin.
a good time enjoying your vacation. I know you're always a positive youth, so I just hope you can stay positive and continue to do good. Carmen Libert says, good night. Vilena Ali says, good evening, all. Original Ras Lyrics says, greetings, my brethren.
Yes,
Yeah,
my
man.
brethren. Big up yourself,
Respect
Lyrics.
every time.
Respect,
We're over on the YouTube side of things. And Ishmael Hanley says, greetings to all. Slaughterhouse says, greetings and love kings. Jay
Ishmael.
Breadfruit says,
Slaughter.
yes, I. Jay Breadfruit says, be sure to ask Azard about the attempt to change leadership at the PAMS caucus. Lady Gray didn't speak to it, and neither did Kyle Flanders, the blogger. He says also, and why did the caucus come to an early end before the PRO and Assistant Secretary spaces could be filled? Oliver Libert says, hi Kings, just coming in, bro. Ishmael Hanley says, Azard still ain't answer the question. What are they going to do to change so people have a say about their plans before it happens? Yeah, so that was a question for you to respond to as well. Mighty Servant says, question, prior to the creation of the SIDF, sorry, many persons never heard of the CBI. Do you think this was a failure by those who handled it then? And do you think it was prudent of those who opened it up? Devon Amri says, what key policies will PAM introduce to curb corruption in the civil service? Coconut Whisperer says, good night, I am listening.
Yes, sir.
Bubba Love says, good night to the panel, Bankie King and Yahsonn. Blessed night to all. Mighty Servant says, is Mr. Gumbs willing to give up his current clients that can potentially bring conflict to him if elected to government? Almost like giving up another nationality. Bubba Love says, my question is, what would he do so different to all the other talkers of agriculture when it comes to controlling the monkey pandemic? Mighty Servant says, on the issue of food security, improvement by local farmers, will Mr. Gumbs commit to imposing restrictions on the section of the private sector that import food and subsidize the farmers? Garden Ho Channel says, good evening all. Mighty Servant says, why can Rams et al. Have chills and store their produce using localized employment, but farmers, crops, and government entities can't do it or get it done?
Yes, sir. Wait on
Devon Amri says, what's PAM's position on the prison project alleged underselling by Galaxy? Question again by Mighty Servant, in light of the challenge we are having for water, potable for domestic use and farming, will Mr. Gumbs' party put a ban to AI centers, Bitcoin mining, in light of how much water they require? Mighty Servant again, the idea of exporting energy from Nevis is folly and foolish talk. Just imagine the size of a plant one would need. The amount of water to replenish the soil and then steam to run the plant is realized. Tekel Selassie says, I would like to know what is Azard's development plan for number 5. I think Azard is running in number 4, right? Just to be correct, I don't know. But anyway,
Yeah,
they asked for number 4. You're the deputy leader, so you still have to speak for other constituencies technically. So they asked well, they asked about number 5, so I don't know if it's a typo, but I'm just going based on the comment that is on the wall. And then Donny Herb says, hail Bankie and Yahsonn, and I think that's the end of the comments so far. And we want to also thank all of you and encourage you. I'm hoping by the time we have done these comments that all of you would have subscribed to the YouTube platform. We want to encourage you to call in as well. Some of you would have had your questions on the platform, I don't know how many of them you remember, Mr. Gums, and how much you will be able to respond to. But in the interim, while you're doing that, we're going to give out the number as well for those who want to call in. The number is 1-869-662-7196. 1-869-662-7196. That is the number to call in if you want to be on the program. So, Mr. Gums, you could continue if you so desire to respond to the questions, those that you remember, if you documented any, and you want to respond to them.
So there was a question that said, be sure to ask Azard about the attempt to change leadership at the camp caucus. Lady Gray didn't speak to it, neither did Clive Flanders, the blogger. As I said before, the caucus, the party leader position was not up. That term comes to an end next year, 2027, for the next caucus. As indicated, Natasha Gray is still our party leader, and nothing has changed in that regard. Why did the caucus come to an end early before the PR and assistant generals and assistant secretary spaces could be filled? Well, those positions were put to the floor at the point in time. There was persons didn't contest those, and so they are going to be reopened for contests in August. As I still didn't answer the question, what they're going to do to change so people can have a say about their plans before it happens. Okay, in relation to that, as I said before, we have seen and we have heard how this government has upset the people of St. Kitts and Nevis in terms of a lot of times you hear things after it's done. Look at the SSZ, consultation by the people, where that is a huge legislation. And so what I've said, and I think I've answered this in my answer, saying that we will consult the people of St. Kitts and Nevis as it relates to matters that affect them greatly. We can't afford to be a party that we say that we are representing the people and make our own decisions without consultation. I'm not going to say that every decision you consult, but when there are major decisions to be made, when there are certain things that are going to affect the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, consultation is necessary. We want to be an administration that is remembered fondly. Look at the days of Kennedy Simmons. Fondly remembered, and that is the People's Action Movement that we want back in this era to serve the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, one that is fondly remembered. It says here, prior to the creation of SIDF, many persons never heard of CBI. Do you think it was a failure by those who handled it then, or do you think it was prudent of those who opened it up? I understand that, because I think we really learned of CBI after the sugar ended, when we diversified into tourism. Around 2008, thereabout, is when persons really started to hear more about the CBI. I think what could have been done then is perhaps money is placed into services and also infrastructure. I think that a lot of the monies that we got during the times of plenty could have been used to enhance our infrastructure here in St. Kitts and Nevis, and we could see what that money was going. So we could see even years after where that money would have been spent. I think, and sometimes you'll have projects and the projects are incompleted. I think we should have done. I think the administration then should have done a better job at managing those things.
Okay,
So
we
was
have a
it?
caller here. We get in the caller. You could get back into the questioning. Caller, can you go ahead, please?
Yes, good evening to the panel there.
Yes.
To my
Good evening.
representative from Constituency 4, Mr. Azard.
Yes,
You're doing a job well done. But
thank you.
there's two things I would like to actually speak about, and they are very, very important to the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. Over the years, our farmers have been suffering a lot. And they say maybe one speak about the monkey, right? And I believe that the government should think about opening a certain time of the year to go to hunt monkeys and kill them. Just like how they have deer hunting, just to keep down the population of those monkeys. But to the farmers, I think that we have a sleep representative for Constituency 4 who said that he is a farmer because he ain't doing nothing at farmers. Nothing, absolutely. The farmers need to look after. That is where I grew up on. My father used to farm.
What are some of the things? What are some of the things you'd like the minister to put in place, Carla?
Pardon?
What will be some of the stuff you'd like the minister to put in place to help the farmers?
There's a lot of things, you know,
Well, just let's give me three. Your top three. Give me your top three.
Okay, just one.
Mm-hmm.
The farmers they need water in the mountain.
Mm-hmm.
That is very, very important.
Yes.
And how we can do it is to put systems up there. It's not too hard to do that. We can plastic the ground. You know about that, right?
Water catchment, of course.
Right.
You line the ground, dig out a big as well and put in. You have slabs, they call it like slabs, and you line it with a liners.
Right.
A pond, a man-made pond.
That's right. And it can be done.
Of course.
That is what I want to see happen to my farmers. Second thing, marketing. Marketing is very important. Don't today, the government does not get it. It does not get it for the farmers. Look at what happened. We had so much pineapples here, and we still import pineapple to the country. Marketing is very important for our farmers. If we don't have that, no use for farming. Educating the young people more in school. We don't have that. As a little boy growing up, we used to have garden in the schoolyard. We don't have that no more. Our main farming system in St. Kitts, done. I want to speak a little about the geothermal because I hear you all touch on it.
All right, I give you next minute, and then you can call back.
Okay, yeah, I will close off on that.
Yes.
St. Kitts Nevis, we have. I don't know how many of you was following it when they did it in Nevis, but I was following it. Right? That geothermal that they have over there where they started is one of the cleanest they have ever found in the world. Geothermal. Right? Let's speak about the expense of it by dropping cable. But if that geothermal come up, it will pay for itself. It will pay back every cent for those cables that will be extended across to other Caribbean islands.
Of course.
And Nevis will be one of the first Caribbean islands. And we always the first in everything. But our government, them here, they ain't ready. They ain't ready. And you talk about the CBI program, they make a joke of that program. But that will be in the next talk show next time because I don't want to take up too much time.
Well, you can always call back. We're just gonna. Okay. That's fine. You can always call back.
Yeah, bless up, my friend.
All right, thank you. I appreciate the call. Well, as you realize, the callers and those who are listening understand the situation they're living in. So it's not like you remember when we keep saying we have 98% literacy, there are those who understand when they listen and can comprehend and not being for. Because remember, there's a set of people out there have undecisive when it comes to if they don't vote. You have a large sector out there who have no interest in voting because of what they see going on. Those even who have the voters card, some of them have no interest in voting either because they don't see anyone who they think at this point. I speak with so much people, get so much phone calls all the time, and this is where we're at in this point. Because the problem is too much of emotions people are seeing, too much of hidden
Yeah.
agenda people are seeing. These are what the feedback I am getting. You see what I mean?
Yeah, Bankie.
People are watching because when you look at what's going, as the caller said, what is happening there, those we take out the government because what Team Unity was doing and put in a government so they're going to do better, and you can see what's happening. See it in front of your face. So this
Yeah,
is what I
Bankie.
say. This election coming up is going to be one of the most important thing there is. But go ahead.
Bankie, what you have said resonates with me because, as I said before, I do my house to house. I think that is one of the most important things to do. Meeting persons, engaging persons, and I've said I'm not going to come with no flashing cameras or anything like that. If you look at it, I'm someone who's usually on the social media who would advocate on issues facing my constituency and national issues as well. When it comes to the house to house, I think that is a private exercise between the candidate and the persons in the community in my constituency. And you look at it, and a lot of persons, they're disappointed. They're disappointed in politicians. They're disappointed with how the country is being run. They're disappointed by those persons who promise everything and deliver nothing. And so this election is one of trust, as I said. It's one of trust. You have to build trust within the people because it's not just telling persons not to vote for Labour. It's to encourage persons to see you as a change because they have been through so much disappointment. And this election, I think, that persons are frustrated, they are disappointed, they believed that the Labour administration would have been so much better than it is. And I think this has caused a number of persons now to look at it. There are so many independent candidates, and a lot of these independent candidates came out of Labour camps. If you look at it, persons who are dissatisfied with the administration, and rather than, you know, perhaps joining another party, they decided to take the fight to
Well, from out of
themselves.
early camps, from out of early camps, from out of early camps, people come from. It's not just Labour, people come out of early unity, out of early camps.
I see.
Yes.
Yes.
Yahsonn?
But I
Yeah,
mean, it's good. Persons are putting themselves forward, and so the electorate would have a good choice. Well, let me say a good number of persons to choose from.
yeah, quite an interesting point to consider because I
We have a
recognize
call here
that.
coming from Connecticut. You only getting this call from Connecticut?
Yeah, man, let's get in the car.
Caller, good evening. You're live.
Good night, Brother Bankie. Good night, Yahsonn.
Yes, good evening.
And Brother Azard, long time no see you. I was wondering. I was wondering if you got.
Caller, you're doing this long enough. Turn off your device in the background. You're doing this long enough. No, you gotta move away from the device and turn on. When you turn off, the device are going in a different room.
That's Mr. Welcome.
Go ahead. Yes.
Okay. You hear me clearly now, Brother Bankie?
Of course. Yes.
Okay. Brother, like I was saying, long time no hear from you, long time no see you.
Yes. But rest assured, I've been working. If you don't hear me on the airways, I'm still working.
The same common. Maybe we may have something different in a slight movement, but it's all in the people. I have an important question to ask you.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Labour has its candidate, and Shani Gray is the leader. If Shani or Pam does not get all the votes that the constituencies, if Shani is not elected, I'm looking forward for you as the leader. Now, how sassy you are in collaborating with other candidates who win their seats to form the government. That's one question I'm asking. I'm going to leave it there and I'm going to come again.
All right. Thank you, caller. Appreciate that.
Well, there must be some sheer common understanding between persons. If it is that we don't secure the number of seats to join to form a government on our own, of course I can't see why we won't be open to form with others once there's a shared understanding, common interest in terms of serving the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, and no issues of trust. I mean, I don't see. I mean, at the end of the day, the people of St. Kitts and Nevis is first and foremost, and those persons who have been elected by the electorate to serve. If to form government, you need persons. Once there is trust, understanding, and a common shared interest, and that interest being to make St. Kitts and Nevis better, then I don't see how it'll be ruled out. We have to make sure that the best and brightest minds are at the table, and the best hearts as well, to push the people first agenda forward.
All right. And that's the response to the caller. We want to continue to encourage folks who are logged in. You can always subscribe and click on the notification bell and subscribe to our YouTube platform. We want to encourage you to call in. The number to call in is 1-869-662-7196. And when you call in, please turn off whatever radio, device, computer, whatever it is, because we're going to get a feedback. So you turn off your radio, turn off your device, listen to your phone, and you would hear us via the receiver on your phone. All right?
We have a call here from Yahsonn. We take this call here. Caller, good evening. Welcome to the Topiks.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Azard, Bankie, and Yahsonn. I am here listening to the program, and my input is very short in that I want to say that in any representative democracy, as we have here in St. Kitts and Nevis, the electorate being persons live here, citizens or residents, they are responsible for electing officials to our parliament to make decisions on their behalf. Hence, government as the people's representative. It is easy then, in my view, to make the interpretation that the government is the people government, quote unquote. So when political aspirants, such as yourself, Azard, seek to represent foreign entities or individuals in litigation against your own government, which represents the same people who you claim to love and want to represent at the governmental level, then you must understand, Azard, that any financial judgment against the government is also a judgment against the taxpayers of the country. When you were asked about the East Coast situation and you being the lawyer for East Coast, you mentioned words like, if you were to be elected to government and you're on the other side now, you mentioned words like recuse and conflict of interest and so. But my question is though, take up the case in the first place. So, would you agree, Azard, in hindsight, that being the lawyer for East Coast presently can be viewed by some persons as poor judgment on your part? And to be, you might want to say, well, I am in opposition and I am a lawyer and I have to eat and I have bills to pay. But that is understood But you could have deferred that case. If East Coast approached you, you could have said to them, listen, no, based on the situation, I am a political aspirant, and if I want to get into government, I will have to recuse the conflict of interest, etc. You could have done that.
Carla, can I?
Yes.
I made a reference to the case of the now Attorney General with case. I think it's Marine Works, where the now Attorney General was his lawyer, and now he's the Attorney General, and now he's fighting the same client, which is
exactly.
So. What's the difference between that case and Azard case? How do you speak on both?
Well, yes, we're seeing some similarities here, and I would admit that.
But it's the same thing, Carl. Where you gonna sue the government for his work and you want to get paid too? Because it's all about getting paid. Yes, wages are local, but it's still gonna come out the taxpayers. Either way, you're gonna come with tax. That's what we're looking at. But one is not a national. That's the difference.
Yes, but let me say to you what's missing from the case with the Attorney General.
Yes.
When the Attorney General sought to represent Reginald Francis in that matter, he had no political aspiration. He had never gone to the any constituency and say, well, I am hoping to be elected as a government minister. So what you're saying...
Point taken.
That situation came after the fact.
Point taken.
So but even if you're so to say that, Carla, and when the
let him finish his point, Azard, and then your thing. Go ahead.
Yes, his case is different because he's now or an entity which can very well, in the final analysis, even before let's say the case calls up before election, in the final analysis, were there to be give government, I'm saying it will be a judgment against the same poor taxpayers down in constituency number 4, the taxpayers of the country. So in hindsight, I think that's poor judgment, and he will have to explain.
He will answer the question.
He will have to. One final point I would want to make is I find that when Azard speaks about this coming elections will be about bread and butter issues, high costs of living, with no sense of relief from the Labour administration. I'm saying that's disingenuous. I can say to Azard that when his PAM unity government got into office in 2015, one of the main things they said, which would affect the bread and butter issues, one of the main things they said, they want to increase the minimum wage, which was $360 per week at the time. Okay, they fooled the people because they stayed there for 7 years without increasing the minimum wage. So those same persons, the poor man in the country, they suffered with $60 as per week. As the government was in power, he said nothing about that. He allowed it. He said nothing. And here we had the Labour Party government, which is led by Dr. Joe, came into office and increased $360 per week to $500 per week. You know, so how can he sit there and say that there is no sense of relief from the Labour administration? Finally, though, when it has to do with the high cost of living, the salaries, the minimum wage that people make, that's only one aspect of it.
Carla.
It's a whole lot of things to deal with as it relates to dealing with the high cost of living. So that is my final point.
Yes, Carla.
I thank you all for taking my call.
Carla.
Yeah, yes, sir.
I'm gonna have to you have to send me a WhatsApp and I have to bring you an as you see to say. So I want to give.
Let me, since you made that point.
Yes.
My name is Roy Fleming. I am a former candidate of the People's Action Movement.
Okay.
I contested this master seat against Dwyer Astafan in 2004, and I ran again as the PAM candidate in Central Bastille in 2010. And obviously, I was not successful.
Okay.
So I would welcome any opportunity, any invitation to come on your program.
I appreciate that.
I'll gladly take on that challenge.
Okay, so just send me a WhatsApp and then I'll communicate with you tomorrow. I appreciate that. Thanks for the call.
I will do Bankie.
All
Okay,
right, thank you
very much.
very much.
Have a very good night.
All right, Azad, a lot of questions there
Thank
for
you
you,
so
and
much.
you have a next
Yes,
call here.
let me
take this
answer that
call.
question before I forget.
You have a
No,
call.
so,
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah, the only reason because he said a lot of things, and I think I need to answer him based on what he has said before my thoughts are gone. He talked about me representing a foreign entity against the government. Well, whether my client is a citizen, a local business, or a foreign company, my professional duty is the same, Bankie, Tafari. Every person or entity with legal rights under our laws is entitled to legal representation. Representing a foreign client in a legal dispute with the government is not me being against St. Kitts and Nevis. It is ensuring that the dispute is resolved according to the law. I have represented nationals against the government and have been successful in those matters. The government is an administration. And if he's going to say that it is wrong to represent someone against the government because the person is a foreigner, that is to say that I am against the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. That is not true. How many nationals have taken the government to court and have succeeded? In succeeding against the government, are you saying that they are depriving other nationals of resources? The government ought to function appropriately, and the government ought to be held accountable when it needs to be held accountable. Every person, regardless of class, color, or nationality, deserves representation. He also mentioned that the case with the Attorney General is different, that he did not have any political aspirations. I do not know if he knows the thoughts of the now Attorney General to know whether or not he had political aspirations at all. And if he's going to use that logic, then and he's going to say, well, then the Attorney General would not have known that he was going into this arena. But he would have known that he represented Reggie and would have known that when he was approached to be Attorney General. So did he turn it down and said, well, I'm representing Reginald Francis in this matter, and so I'm not going to take the post. I think that sort of logic is disheartening and unfortunate. And I don't share the same view as that caller. I have expressed myself.
Okay, I am going to
we have a call here.
So when after the call, I'm going to respond in relation to the prior caller too. But
all right, caller, go ahead, please. You're live.
Yes. I just listened to that gentleman who posed about conflict of interest. Azard is now a candidate for election, and his litigation with East Coast. Well, from my point of view, a lawyer will seek to represent a client, and a lawyer should separate all emotions from a case. So I don't see any reason why Azard should exclude himself from representing a customer in that vein who has a litigation against the government. Azard is a lawyer, and that's what he's there for, litigation represent, regardless of what position he is in. I believe if my administration, should I have an administration and they messed up, and it's pointed out that they are wrong, the government should be able to settle. So, make a long story short, Azard is doing he has done the right thing, and I will support him, even if he won his seat or become prime minister. He should be able continue a case that started before he was elected, because that's what he was. That's what he is until he resigned from such a position. So I don't think Carla was...
Okay, Carla, thank you.
So Azard, continue to do what you do your best, and you know I'm a supporter of you.
All right, appreciate it, Carla.
Thank you.
But you know, Bankie, it's kind of interesting. I like the fact that you brought up the Attorney General scenario, but for me, I don't see why this really should even be an issue, because we have like a perfect example here. I don't know if Azard has a private firm or if he has other lawyers working for him, like you have an association, like an associate. But in relation
right
to that,
now,
like,
it's just,
it's just you? Okay, but we have a...
right
but
now,
that's
yes.
right now.
I'm a sole practitioner now.
Okay, but that's right now. But like we had the example of, for example, like the Premier of Nevis, who was a lawyer and had a law firm, and he was able to go on a sabbatical while he's now. So in that case, if you become elected, you could go on a sabbatical and have some other lawyer take on the case. Maybe you might have a partner, an associate, or something that you might work with, and you have confidence that could take it to the next level. So I mean, I don't really see that quite as an issue. But as we continue, and the calls are going to come in, and I still want to get in a couple of topics, so I'll move into this one. The Destiny Project is still under federal review, with both independent oversight body and an ad hoc committee involved in the process. And the government says amendments to the SSZ framework are being prepared. What is your party's real position on the Destiny Project? That's the first question.
Well, as we've said before, our party has made a stance as it relates to the SSZ. The SSZ is a real thing that has caused concerns, I think, with the divisions and petitions as it relates to the Destiny Project that you talk about. Because without the SSZ, then the powers that persons talk about and persons are against will not exist. The SSZ is actually the mechanism. And so I will speak to the SSZ. Our party has been firm against such legislation as it is now. We believe that it creates a state within a state, and we have been very vocal about that. In fact, in our town hall meeting sometime last year, we said that the SSZ in its current state can be seen as an engine for corruption. And so we have spoken about it, and we have said that it is so bad, the SSZ, that amendment alone won't help it, that it must be repealed. We've said that.
We have a caller on the line. Caller, good evening. Welcome to the topics.
Good evening, Shabazz.
Good evening.
Yahsonn. Good evening to Mr. Gumbs there. Listening to something he said prompted me to call. I want to quote a line from one of the best reggae songs that Nevis produced, and it so happened it comes from which is, if I am correct, is in Constituency 4. The Memphis Kiddos, Mr. King. As the song say, the song is called Light, and it's for, can't you see my brothers? It's given we in using that quote right there, that line from the song. Mr. Gumbs, as a young man, what I realized that we've had managers of that state in perhaps all of the political parties in the federation, from the history, from the inception of even going back to statehood to now. I'm wondering if Mr. Gumbs would consider committing to changing the system, because management of the system, I believe the problem, we have politicians, people just go in and there are a lot of talk shop, they make a lot of promises, they're going to do this, they're going to do that, but when they go in, they realize this is a system we can manipulate for our own benefit. It was not designed to give accountability to the people who elect you. Would Mr. Gumbs comment as a young person to radically change that system where he has to give accountability to the electorate and hold himself, his party, government entities, government employees, accountable for the work that they do for the people. As in that when you become a minister of government, you're like a soldier, you're a government property. And government is the people. However, what we realize that we've been throughout the Caribbean, we realize there's been a trend where the managers of the government being elected by less than fewer and fewer people, because people just turn off because it's the old talk shop. You just get a few educated people who could speak well.
Yes.
Lots of them with maybe they mean well too, because I was once told the road to have good intentions. So I discredit them and say they don't do well. I think there's a lot of them I can speak well, and I could speak. I'm gonna go in. I'm just gonna fill my pocket. I'm just gonna trade. I'm just gonna pose. And when they go in, yeah. But essentially, will he commit to? Does he thinks the system needs changing? The problem is it the system or the people who are managing the system, and what is his plan to change? Could take this thing. I don't know how politicians could look. I mean, if I was running to be a politician, I would have hated the fact. I would have done everything to take away from that I have. It's staying with such a reputation that people look at you and say, well, you're kind of artist. You're a liar. You're a thief. There is no... I would have wanted to create the image of him on the rebel. Instead of we are honoring rebels. And when I say rebels, not revolutionary now, just people who are, I don't even want to mention how most of them are, but, the reputation precedes them. You hear politicians, I say my politicians like this. So what Mr. Gumbs would do to change that reputation?
Right.
Does it think the change need to come from the people or from the system?
I appreciate the question.
Very good question. I must say that I think it is a two-pronged approach. I think that, there are some changes in the system that's necessary. And I think, too, that persons who have the power should lead by example and not abuse the power that they have. I have heard it a long time. Persons view politicians in a negative light. Persons feel like politicians are just for themselves and for to get rich. I grew up from humble beginnings. When I thought about entering into politics, it was never my goal as a get-rich-quick scheme. In fact, I often tell people that if politicians or persons aspire for public office to get rich, then they should probably just stay in the private sector, get a business, and work for themselves, whereby the goal is to make a profit and to ensure that they are better off financially, greatly financially. When I think about public service, I think about serving the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. I think about our motto, which is country above self. And I think about our first prime minister, the example that he led. Sir Kennedy Simmons, he will have been, after his practice, he basically, there were talks about his mortgage. We have not seen a prime minister like him since, in terms of, putting himself, putting his country first before himself. I think that the system needs some changes, and it needs persons who will be willing to stand as role models. I commit myself to ensure that I am a role model, to commit myself to be accountable to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. And the reason why I say this is because I come here and I talk about good governance, I talk about being a good example. And if I am elected and I show no good example, then I am no better than those persons that I criticize. And again, it would be those persons who listen to me, they would say, well, really and true politicians are the same. I think in order for us to keep the system, persons have to feel like the system works. And we need persons who are able and willing to commit to the country and able and willing to do what is necessary to ensure that they are proud and good examples. Because, as you said before, election after election, we see the numbers dropping because people losing faith. If we continue to say the same thing and do the same thing, then we continue to look at a system that is going to be less and less effective. And so, if
Fine, and then
anything that I could do is to encourage people and to show them that, listen, there can be good politicians. There can be persons who really try their best and try to do what they say they will do, and to promote the country and promote the people of St. Kitts and Nevis.
all right, Carla,
Go ahead.
can you be brief?
Hello.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Yes, greetings, Mr. Bankie King.
Yes,
Mr. Gumbs, Yahsonn. Don't you have
Hey, greetings.
go ahead.
on the top of the agriculture sector?
Yes.
I think back then, I'm a caller from number 4 as well. And in the past, talking to Mr. Gumbs, in the past we have in the same conversation and the same thing going over and over in terms of agriculture. We see nothing moving forward. We had the representative from 4, which is Mr. Samal, who represents us as of agriculture. We had the PS from 4, who was the PS and also a member, living 4. But then up to today, there are nothing you can say, pinpoint that they do for 4. At the same time, we have the water problem that we're going through. I mean, you see, these are struggles that we're going through as farmers, but the agriculture becoming just as a talk and no movement in terms of it. I remember some time ago, pictures, they were soon as they do something, they look to take pictures. There were pictures circulating it of Mr. Samal, take pictures of people, farmers we help in terms of giving them the black drum and the water. But then when you look at the people or the members that are put in the picture, there were none out of the many that he took was from 4. That is something you have to look into, because if you're going to be helping, there's no problem if you're the Minister of Agriculture. You help everybody. But if you are the minister, but you're still representing 4, and 4 not feeling the effect.
So no one is number 4 receive any of those water tanks,
Exactly.
farmers?
Nobody I see, and that thing, that document that they post around was from 4. But then Minister of 4. But then was the, well, no one, he's not the PS right now, but still. But then nobody was on that flyer.
So Carla, what are your top 2 things that need to be happening in the agricultural sector as a farmer?
What the top 2 thing? Well, your main thing is water. Assistance in terms of the
assistance like what? Assistance like what?
Assistance in terms of the promise of to get bulldozers to make roads, go to the mountain, make it easier for to move on. And everybody afford to get a truck or whatever.
I got you.
If you have a proper road, even if you got to rent a truck just to get water, because of the fact that they're in the water.
But one of the things I realize,
getting water
yes,
and give you the road that you can help yourself, because
I got you.
Farm and I have my water to my farm.
And
Okay. So what I have on my farm in terms of drum, I have that as security, so I don't touch that. I head water to use that. So if push to come, then tomorrow I have water to maintain for at least a month, maybe hopefully. This, if you wear it ain't change, so I could walk to the farm and also have water there, store. But in terms of that, I have to go around, buy a drum, or look whatever drum I could find to store my own water. If you had help, let me say, and we had like assistance with the same drums. I see people they have, I guess maybe the close friends or whatever colleagues, but they have them in the yard put down. People they had a program where they do fencing where you got to go on and point out to people to get wire to fence because you want the animal to be secure. We only see people have the fence the yard, and these people not even have a foul.
60 seconds, Carla.
Not even a foul have in the yard to say, well, they are farmers, but they have these tests, the assessment, where you now have this amount of sheep, goat, or whatever you have on the farm, and you don't get the assessment. Assistant. So it becomes a friend and not reality what you're saying about agriculture. If that's
all right, Carl, I appreciate that. One of the things, Yahsonn, as the caller mentioned, assistant. Okay, is that
Bankie,
in Nevis
before you
post
finish
is not,
off that point, Bankie, before you finish off that point, I
organics.
want to be. So,
Let me
well,
take
this
the
is what I
call
was
here.
going
Let me take the call.
to.
Let me take the
This is
next
what I
call.
was. Yeah. So this is what I was going to say. Let's make this the last call because I think we already gone over
Okay.
time. So let's get into whatever.
All right.
This is going to be the
Caller,
last call. Whatever questions
caller,
we
you're the
have, we
last
finish.
caller, please. So be brief, and we're not accepting any more call after this call here. Go ahead. Hello? Caller?
Hello.
Yes, go ahead. You're the last call for the evening. Thanks for calling.
Yes. Just to piggyback a little bit on the last caller, because I had that same point, but something else to add. We elect politicians under our system, and on winning their particular seat, they become masters rather than the servants of the people. And so they assume responsibility for the various portfolios, which they have never, ever really, in most instances, assumed responsibility for. And in some cases where some of them might be very qualified, they become arrogant and feel that their expertise need no other input from the population. What is your party's position on that? Secondly, quickly, neither parties in the federation over the years, 40 plus years of independence, have not shown any need to constitution. This new PAM executive which hope to hold office, will you be going along with the status quo? And if you want to change, what are the major changes you see taking place? Thanks very much for your patience.
All right. Thank you, caller, for your call. I wish to call
Thank
back.
you, caller. Yes, thank you.
All right.
The caller talked about yes, he talked about changes. That changes he meant to the Constitution. He said, so I need clarity on that one. But I know he was talking about
Yes, he was. Yes, he
electing.
was talking about what are your plan when it comes to making changes in the Constitution. Yes.
Okay then. Okay, hold on that point then. He talked about electing persons and they become masters. Yeah, we've seen that whereby persons are elected, and sometimes you're elected and you have a certain portfolio, and you have to take reasoning and understanding from those persons with experience. You, as the Minister of Agriculture, when you have not been versed in agriculture, you have to ensure that you surround yourself with persons who are knowledgeable. I keep saying this. When it comes to government, it's about ensuring that the resources are shared up in a way that benefit the most or benefit the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, and it's in to ensure as well that you attract persons if you have a specific deficit when it comes to knowledge or experience. You bring people along who you know are going to help you along. Sometimes people bring persons because of political affiliation. We have seen it in the past by all the parties. That alone cannot be the solution and criteria for appointment. You must appoint persons who you feel are going to be suited to help you. Because at the end of the day, when your ministry is not going well, the buck stops at you. And so persons must ensure that they hire persons who will do well and manage the country well. I think that is one of the basic things that we will do to hire based on merit. Another thing he talks about the Constitution. Look at constitutional reform. Constitutional reform has been a topic. I mean, we looked at it. We looked at the things that persons are saying. One, do we remain a republic? Do we remain a constitutional monarch, or do we take steps to become a republic? Is it that we are going to make changes as it relates to the St. Kitts and Nevis, because we recognize that the Constitution recognizes two entities, St. Kitts and Nevis. Are we going to make changes where St. Kitts is an identity, And so these are things that we have to discuss. I know our party would have had a manifesto in 2022 talking about St. Nevis becoming a republic. As it relates to the governance of our country, we've seen whereby they have the NIA, but there is no St. Kitts administration. You understand? Island administration. There are persons who feel that there should be an island administration in St. Kitts as well. And so these are discussions that we must have. But again, these are discussions that must take place with consultation with the people. And you found that since our constitution has been provided to us, drafted, I can't think that there has been a constitutional change. I mean, the document is 40 plus years old, and of course, as things go, as time progresses, the laws develop, laws change, and so too, we must ensure that the constitution, where shortcomings, addresses the shortcomings to changes as prescribed by the constitution. And so, what I'm saying is this: we need politicians and we need people who are going to consult the people. And we need politicians who are not just thinking about winning the next election, but transforming things and Nevis into a better state. Not just about winning
Yeah, you know,
elections.
Mr. Gumbs, as I listen to you, right, I can't help thinking like this because this is something that I asked the Premier himself, who is a quote unquote, highly decorated lawyer. And I am hearing you making the same utterances that he would have made, because he also would have said not even a comma was taken, has been amended in the Constitution since its inception. And I can't help myself but wondering, why is it that you guys are top scholarly lawyers who are coming to tell us that the Constitution is flawed and the laws are flawed, but are not seeking to make the concerted efforts to do what is necessary to change these things? And I hear the argument it's not easy to change things in the Constitution, because you need whether it's a two-thirds majority and these things. But these things would need a unification of the politicians to be able to know, to come to the masses and educate the masses that this is not an issue to be argued along partisan political lines. And for some reason, because of the partisan divide and rule games that you all play, you all find it hard to do that. So it's not that it's hard to do, it's just that you all are choosing not to do it. So what is it that we the masses can do now to get you all to realize that this is something that you all need to do and stop just giving us lip service? I'm sorry I
Well,
to you that way. I mean, I did the
first,
same thing here.
yes, that's fine. Tafari, but you must understand that the Premier and I are different in the sense that the Premier has been in government. The Premier is currently serving in the island administration, and I am now just coming and putting myself forward for service, and hopefully I would be a part of the team to transform St. Kitts and Nevis. I have never had the opportunity to make such a contribution because I have never been a candidate and I've never been before in government for general election. I am now there now, God's willing. And if I am elected, I will not just give lip service. I will ensure that there is some transformation, but transformation that is encouraged by the people, because I alone can make changes or will not be able to make changes. And of course, if changes are made, sometimes it will require a referendum. And of course, the people will have to vote. But I do hear you, I understand you, and I think it needs persons at the table who are willing to make changes where changes are necessary. And again, that's why I said that sometimes you have politicians and the 5 years over, and you wonder what has been accomplished, what policies, what has been, what changes have they made, what long-lasting changes have they made? Is mainly the status quo. It's mainly to get ready for another general election, and it repeats itself. One of the criticisms I have of politicians is that I haven't seen a real map. I haven't seen in the past somewhere that says, okay, then this is where I want to take St. Kitts and Nevis. And of course, those persons who sit in government, you understand. So I mean, there are things that are open to change. Some things would need the support of the general public, would need referendum. You understand? And some things would only need a majority parliamentarian based on the specific provision.
Okay. I do understand that, and I do recognize the difference that you highlighted in relation to the premier being actively involved in politics and you not necessarily getting there yet. Um, there's a number of different things that I guess I could discuss surrounding that aspect of it, and there's still a number of other things that I haven't even gotten into in terms of the discussion because we didn't get into any regional issues and any international
Yes.
issues and things like that, right? Which I had on my slate to really get into. But we would have had an engaging discussion, and I want to thank the callers and all of those who would have made their comments on the platform and so on. We're gonna be winding up. Bankie, I don't know if you have anything else, but I'll give you that opportunity in your closing as well, too, right? I would just give Mr. Gums an opportunity to make his closing, but I'm gonna ask him this question in his closing, and then Bankie, I'll give you an opportunity for your closing as well. So, in my final question for you, has PAM done enough research on cannabis to present a clear governing plan if elected? And what would PAM's cannabis approach look like on licensing, regulation, taxation, local participation, and medical access? Like I said, there are a number of other things I wanted to touch on, but I think we touched on a number of other topics: agriculture, geothermal energy, your party caucus, and all of those things. I didn't get into water, but I think one of the callers and so on got into the water aspect. But just that, and then you could use responding to that, and then give you a closing, and then I'll allow Bankie to wrap up as well.
Okay, so just trying to remember, you spoke about the plans that we have. Much of the plans that we still have can be found in our 2022 manifesto, and we never got an opportunity to execute it. But if you look at it and you look at it, you would see where we had a roadmap for St. Kitts and Nevis. One of the things in the discussion was making St. Kitts and Nevis a republic. Of course, that has to be supported by the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. We talked about giving businesses. There was $100 million fund where we would give small businesses a grant. We talk about renewable energy. So lots of what we have in store for the people of St. Kitts and Nevis is still applicable through our manifesto of 2022. In fact,
In
I feel
relation
like
to
St. Kitts and
cannabis,
Nevis. Well, in
in
terms of the
relation,
cannabis now, because you're being specific, if you will have seen that the team unity government was started this whole discussion as it relates to medicinal cannabis. You have seen that the Labour Party has taken it and has gotten nowhere with it. Um, they have the largest board of directors, if I'm not mistaken. They've had about three CEOs. They've had about a 15-member committee and still nothing. I think it needs to be taken seriously. I think in this administration, and this is the problem. When people see that this administration is just giving lip service, they think that whoever comes after is going to be doing the same. I don't think we have ever seen an administration like this administration that is present, whereby you can't say anything, any capital projects that they have done. You can't say anything that they have substantially done to change the lives of St. Kitts and people of St. Kitts and Nevis. And I think that is one of the reasons why persons are so um when it comes to they're so critical and they're so skeptical about politicians because we've seen a government we're living in a time where this government really ain't doing anything and people feel that other governments are going to do the same. No, people's action movement is going to be different. We can't be just talking about issues, talking about things and nothing happening. If that happens, then it's time for me to leave the table. In terms of water, I think that we have to do a better job at capturing our water when we do have rainfall. I think we need to invest in reservoirs. We need to invest in catchment centers and stuff like that. You talk about trying to remember what other things you said, and again, stress the
No,
term medicinal
what I
cannabis.
was saying, what I was saying, a number of things that we didn't get to cover. So I know that we wouldn't get to cover
Oh,
all of that. I
yes,
was just
yes,
trying
yes,
to get
yes.
your last response in terms of cannabis, and then you wrap up, and then I know we're gonna have you back at some point. I'm hopeful, and
Yes,
so we
of
could.
course. Yes,
Right.
yes. Well, I want to say to you, Bankie, that as the time goes closer, our plans will be more rolled out. We have a People First agenda. It has 6 pillars, and each of them we're going to be discussing as time progresses. I want to say thank you to you and Bankie for this opportunity. I mean, it's not always easy to be on a program for more than 2 hours at 8 o'clock in the night, especially when you had a long day. So I mean, you guys, you continue to keep this program engaging. You continue to ask questions and think about it. Um, you have to know what you're saying when you come because the topic can range from so many different areas. Can range from so many different areas. You understand? You don't know what you're going to get, and so it's not
Yeah,
for
I love
the light-hearted. You understand?
it.
Because you could talk,
All right.
you could bring out international issues, local issues, and as a and as one
We
who
appreciate that.
aspires for public office, it really keeps my foot up because I really have to make sure when I come here and I speak that I'm prepared. And I want to say thank you for the opportunity. And again, anytime I am there, I don't believe that one who puts himself forward for public service should not be afraid to address the public. Yes.
Thank you very much. And we are always open to you and any other, whether it's political figure, whether it's from your party or some any other party or some of the new parties that are coming up. The Topics is a program that does not necessarily limit itself to politics either, even though we know politics is a
Yes.
very topical issue. We range, and that's another thing. We range from politics. I mean, African consciousness, Rastafari. I mean, education. I mean, all kind of different things. I mean, somebody have a new business that they want. We're open to all that.
Mhm.
And I'm glad that you made that observation as well too, that point as well, because one of the things that persons must recognize is that this is not a scripted interview. We don't sit down and give anybody any question. You know what I mean? Even sometimes ourselves don't necessarily. It's just a reasoning, and we just expect to
Yes.
have that level of engagement. So it's not like we sent you any questions and you were prepped for this or anything. As you say, you come on and you just got to be ready for whatever, because you don't know what it's gonna be, and that's what we
Yes.
really create. So, like you said, you got to be ready for it. Bankie, your closing.
Yes, I want to thank our guest, our co-host again for being a regular on the topics. Greatly appreciate it. I mean, he could have
Yes.
chose any media house and use his time wisely, especially on this weekend we had a long day. And as I said, leaving from your regular 9 to 5 and still coming in a show 8 o'clock in the evening is a task psychologically, and not knowing what question would be asked and so how the conversation is gonna when we go in, it shows that he have that willingness for, because many people do definitely they seem to have the topics of being a tough show. And I don't say anything about being tough when it comes to answering questions if you want to face the general public. No answer is a tough question if you have nothing to hide. I have no hidden agenda. I've realized there's
I
some
must say
shy
this,
away from being on the
Banky.
topic. Yes.
I must say this. I look forward for to the opportunity that being a minister of government, whereby I could come on your show and shows like these to address
I appreciate that.
what is happening in the ministries. You understand what we're going to do. I think that would be a better thing because you're a minister, you head a ministry, and sometimes you don't even know as the general public what is going on in that specific ministry. They come and they answer questions that are tailored. You want to know people to have an opportunity to ask questions and you answer based on that.
Yes. I just want to thank those for supporting Real Entertainment Network, Islander on the Rocks, and all those who come out and support Manson's Last Stop. And every day of the week, Monday to Sunday, we open 7 days a week. Where you get your from Tuesdays and Wednesdays are roti days, chicken and veggie, and also we're doing smoothies also. So if you want smoothies, you can come by any day of the week. and they get your smoothies, bananas, strawberry, whatever, a smoothie of your type. And also tomorrow, as I said, it's Saturday where you get your best soul food in the house. Once you come here, you eat the food, you'll be hooked. Because we have the best chef, traditional cooking, where you get caramel and fish and okra tomorrow, oxtail and caramel if you want. If you want oxtail and rice, or chicken and caramel, or fish and caramel. It's your choice in good conversation, good reasoning, and the safest place to be at. Each another farm, can't go wrong with that. Restaurant, little super great. As I say, you have watermelons, have cucumbers, coconuts, jelly water, the best mob in town, melon juice, cucumber juice, your local stuff, lemonade, passion fruit. Just come out in good company. And also remember, we're grieving the last of my cousin Aisha's son, a young gentleman just studying in Canada, 24-year-old, and also lost an ex-cousin in Antigua for one of my auntie's son, also at 24. So you can't make this stuff up. So it's just to show you how the universe works, and it's time we use our time wisely, show as much love as we can, help each other, each one teach one, because we don't know when. You don't have to do nothing. I mean, this is just two young gentlemen at their peak, doing what is right, and life just handed them that baton. So Azard, again, I want to thank you for being a part of the Topics with Entertainment Network. And remember, next week, Tuesday, we have Kenyatta McCoy, who is a member of the SKN Alliance, where we have discussion what's going on when it comes to SKN Alliance. And then on the Friday, we have a special edition where we'll have Mr. Kyle Marshall. So definitely look for two shows as usual coming up next week. And so again, thanks for all those for tuning into Real Entertainment Networks, and enjoy your week. It's a long weekend coming up. We have the restaurant week held in this Sunday, and then tomorrow you have that coming up, that grill fest. So all who's going out, safe travels. If you're going to drink, have a designated driver and be safe. Yahsonn?
Yes, and give thanks, as I said once more, Azard. Give thanks, Bankie, for being the regular co-host. Hey, it's really an interesting discussion, and we have gone even an extra half an hour. But I'm just gonna get in the last couple of comments, and then we're gonna get out of here. Petro Gemma says, "Going Republic will prove what? Look around the Caribbean and see the republics. Tell us what difference would it make going Republic." Spylerflick says it is definitely time St. Kitts has its own local government and stop having the federal government as its local government. Also, we need to see a change where everyone is able to vote for the leader of the country. Petro says you should have ideals. Spylerflick says, plus we need to abolish the communist practice where senates or junior ministers are elected into government by a small few. We need to know who the junior ministers way before after the results. Plus, politicians have zero respect for the Constitution. The electoral boundaries need to be equalized. Petro Gemat says he stressed on the term medicinal cannabis. The lawyers know cannabis and medical cannabis are two different things. Burby Jones says Topics higher. Azard for number 4. We're well qualified. Okay. So you see, you get a good comment at the end. Somebody said that we're well qualified for number 4. And that's where we're gonna wrap things up. So we tried our best as usual as possible to get in the comments of those who are on the wall, get in the calls. I want to thank you again, Azard. Thank you, Bankie. Thank you, Ira, Alan, and the Real Entertainment team. Also want to say Monday, be sure to log in on the YouTube platform, on the Twitch platform, on the Facebook platform for another edition of Quality Time with Alan. Very, very interesting show. Usually he goes through a number of topical issues and go through them. And so we want to encourage you to also log on to that platform. Be sure to come on out tomorrow at Heritage Cafe. Azard, have you been to Heritage Cafe in Nevis? Have you been to the Heritage Village?
I don't think I have. So maybe
okay, so I'm inviting you to come on over. And when you come, make sure you take the tour, because it shows you some houses of after slavery, how they got the statue house, and you show you 13 people used to live in this little house, and the goose and all of those things that they used back in the day. And so, it's quite an interesting tour. So you should come and experience it. And when you come, make sure you stop at the Heritage Cafe and enjoy some of the heritage delicacies that are available for you as well. So thank you, everybody.
Sounds
Thank
wonderful.
everybody. All right. And so we want to welcome everybody and be sure to subscribe. All of you who are logged on before you leave, make sure you subscribe to the platform. Thank you, Real Entertainment team. Until next week, Monday, when we're here on Real Entertainment again. Enough love, everybody.
When comfort, class, and reliability matter, choose the ride that delivers more. Imperial Rides Transportation Services, where every journey is treated like royalty. From airport transfers, private events, shopping trips, island tours, and executive travel, Imperial Rides moves you in style, clean, comfortable, on time, every time. Book your premium taxi or tour service today. Call or WhatsApp 869-665-8459 or email elandflavas@gmail.com. Imperial Rides Transportation Services. Your journey, our priority.
At Shabazz Organics, we believe real people deserve real food. So we're bringing you to Mansa's last stop, a farm where food barriers are removed and legacy is sustained. We believe there's power in picking, so we allow you to decide what leaves the farm and enters your kitchen organically.
Topiks, Bankie and Yahsonn. Real conversations. Hey. Lately we be having conversations with the people, cause we feel like there's nobody really talking truth. We be having conversations with the people, cause too many media houses changing up the news. Everything was green light, now we seeing red. Everybody got opinions, you got facts instead. We be having conversations with the people, cause we feel like there's nobody really everybody tuned in live. Bankie and Yahsonn bringing reasoning every time. Talking politics and the things affecting lives. Breaking down the stories they be trying to hide. Used to trust the system, now the trust gone. Everybody talking loud, but the facts wrong. People tired of the fake and the gimmicks too. So they coming to the topics for a clearer view. Got the whole Caribbean locked on the station. Real entertainment network building conversations. No script vibes, not staged for the camera. Just real people talking straight with stamina. Lately we be having conversations, cause we feel like there's nobody really talking true. We be having conversations, cause too many media houses changing up the news. Everything was green light, now we seeing red. Everybody got opinions, who got facts instead. We be having conversations,